Speaking of drinking, let's start with Alison. You just turned 21. Right?
Yep.
Last week?
Yep.
And you said now that you drink less. That you didn't. No. Stay away from
Typical
her.
20-something. She's got her phone in her hand.
I pick up the slack.
Let's talk seriously about the A&A Inspiration and your experience as a junior golfer there, because you won a couple of junior tournaments and you made it into the
winning that event with the SUGA holding that. It was the Fresh and Easy Challenge back then. And yeah, I thought it was a great opportunity for junior girls to try and qualify and be able to play in the first major in the LPGA, because we don't have anything else like that out there for us to try and qualify into a tournament just for us. And yeah, playing in the first major, I think I was probably 15, 16. I just remember being super cool and being around, I was around you guys. You probably don't remember me when I was there, but I was like, oh my gosh, that's Cristie Kerr and Brittany Lincicome.
It's probably because you were a tadpole. You were so young.
Yeah. I mean, that was like a few years ago, but. Yeah.
I know, it's okay. You're my bestie now. Cheers.
But yeah, I think, just in general, that event is really great for junior golf, and it really, inspires a lot of junior girls to come and play in that event and try and play out on tour, and it gives them a lot of good experience because that's really necessary, for us to come out here. Because for me, I had experience playing in the Cup which is now the ANA, and I also played in the U.S. Women's Open before I turned pro, so that really opened my eyes to what it's like on tour, playing against all the pros and seeing where I was as a golfer in comparison to the girls out here. So it was a great experience.
How do you balance your life in school and playing full-time?
That is a good question. I don't know.
I take her test for her.
I wish. But I pretty much just live every day at a time, every minute at a time, and try and do my best to schedule out my day and my week in advance. And it is difficult, I'm not going to lie, it's really stressful, trying to study as soon as I get off the golf course and trying to make sure I play well. But I have a lot of friends back at school who support me, and a lot of people who are rooting for me, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Brittany, because you got to go soon.
Yeah.
You're on a schedule.
Am I the only one flying out tonight?
You're leaving.
I'm sorry.
Talk about last year. What is it about the 18th hole? Brittany eagled the 18th hole when she won.
Against me the first time.
Is that right? I thought it was Cristie Kerr.
It was both of them.
Okay.
It was. Actually, it was perfect in the air. It was perfect.
And then you eagled it again this time.
I did.
What? Is it just the fact that it's a par 5 and you got the length to get there too?
Well, this year it was a little different than that year. This year, I didn't know where I stood in the tournament. I don't like to look at the leaderboard. It makes me really nervous, so I try to just kind of play my own game and take one shot at a time and just kind of have fun with it, just how I play. And this year I had a 5-iron, and in 09 I had a hybrid. So I was just trying to get it on the green, no big deal, and then it actually hit the same spot it hit in 09, and then rolled up to the same spot and rolled down. It was a little bit further this past year than 09, but it felt a lot easier this time than last time, just because I didn't feel like I had any chance. I heard all the roars behind me. I thought Stacy was winning the tournament. I thought she was running away with it actually, and so this past time, the 5-iron felt a lot easier than the hybrid it did in 09 when I was trying to keep up with her here.
Have you ever played foot golf?
I haven't. I was gonna.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
You just say the word.
Foot golf. Can we do in the commercials for foot golf?
Okay. Apparently we're going to be playing it at day.
You should get,
Julie's
you should
playing.
get Julie to do it.
She is playing.
You
I
know
mean, I
what?
think she'd be a lot better at it
I
than
don't want to
us.
play Julie.
We're golfers, we're not athletes,
Can I play
okay?
you?
You'd be honored to.
You know what?
Okay.
Julie,
This is-
you're
this is-
just going to pass it to yourself and keep going. Okay?
No, but this is beautiful. Gabe, when he called,
Yes, I am.
he say,
Thank you for that compliment.
you say, Roberto, how many soccer players around the world? And I say, in soccer leagues, 327 million. He went, okay, how can I get those guys on a golf course? because there is not a better place to be than a golf course. And I say, okay, so we can work together. And he got this idea. He say, golf is the #1 elite sport in the world. Soccer is the #1 popular sport in the world. I want those kids and I want those families in a golf course, because once they get into a golf course, they will never leave. Thank you.
So we're going to see some new faces at the ANA Inspiration this year through the association with football. Have you ever actually played football or soccer?
Do I look like I
Well, I don't know. Is there a particular type of person that plays football or
I would say
soccer?
somebody fit.
Yeah, like her.
Like her.
You're pretty fit, you're a professional
Go
athlete.
off, you get to be a little bit more lazy on the working hours.
But didn't you kick your husband?
Sometimes. But that's just between you and I.
Under the table.
What are your secrets here?
Yeah. He's not supposed to be in the room.
I realized that I never objected to whatever she said. The kicking part.
But you know what's amazing? I did the morning show for the Olympics about 6 months ago, and all the golfers, sorry, I was the only golfer, but the pole vaulter was there, there's some soccer players there, Missy May Trainer was there, and they all tried to hit a ball, and they're like, oh my God, this is hard. And I felt like an athlete in that moment. So when you marry golf and soccer, that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
We can do that a little bit with the conference that's going to take place on Tuesday. Judy's going to be there, and there's going to be other soccer players
I
involved.
have to go.
It's fine, it's fine.
You're going to be there, right?
I'm certainly going to kick that ball around.
We might have to practice before.
No, it's fine, I'll have wine, it'll be fine.
Your one.
Wine fixes everything.
Any wine. At that point, kicking the ball around, trying to put it in a hole, like, other than a golf ball. Could be interesting.
Could it be bigger? Bigger bowl?
It's gonna
It
be
is a big
It has to be.
Okay, bigger balls.
It'd be tough to get the soccer
But the
ball
balls
in
are
the
bigger
golf.
too.
Who inspired you, Cristie, as a youngster?
Honestly, people always ask me how I got involved in golf, how I knew I wanted to do this, and my parents always had me tag along with them to the course, and my father was almost a Major League Baseball player. My mother actually qualified for the 1956 Olympics and got sick and couldn't compete. She was swimming. So I was kind of the one that always made it, but they always exposed me to sports and different things, and golf was just kind of the one that stuck. I watched it on TV, I watched Nancy Lopez, Julie Inkster, who has always been one of my idols that I still get to play with, which is ridiculous. Betsy King, Beth Daniel, Meg Mallon, a lot of them have been our Solheim Cup captains, and all the great American golfers. I bleed red, white, and blue, and I always felt like I wanted to do this, and I can't explain why. It's just I've always known I wanted to do this, and when people hear that, they're like, wow, it really was meant to be.
More red and white than the blue.
I love blue. Blue's my favorite color.
Oh, I see.
Some people got that, okay, yeah. Who inspires you now?
Who inspires me now? My son Mason. My husband Eric. And just honestly, listen, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm not old by any stretch, but I'm 38, going to be 39 this year, and all the younger players that come out on tour, whether they're from Sweden or from Korea or from Thailand or wherever, really inspires me to want to work and to be out there practicing, trying to get better every day, because honestly, the golf ball doesn't know your age, and I said this at CME when I won last event of the year, and golf ball doesn't know your age. And age is talked about a lot, but golf is a sport really for however long you want to play. Look at Julie Inkster, she's 54. And she's still competing, and she kicked my butt in Ocala this year, and I was not happy about that. But golf really, if you can walk, and you can hit, and you can compete, and you still have the fire, you can play as long as you want.
Now, you're going to be alongside some other athletes on the Tuesday evening in the conference, including Jessica, who's sitting here.
Yep.
You're going to be involved in the the inspirational sporting conference on Tuesday. You have a pretty inspirational story yourself. Tell us a little bit about the backstory, because you're not originally from the States, are you?
No, I'm not. My story is it's crazy. I'm actually adopted from Russia. I was adopted when I was 13 months old, and my now parents, they had 2 children and they couldn't have any more, and they really wanted to adopt kids with physical disabilities. So they looked into adoption, and they ended up finding out about my now brother and I in a Russian orphanage. So we were adopted. And I was actually born with fibular hemimelia, which basically means I was missing all the bones in my lower leg, and I had a foot with 3 toes. So we were adopted, and it's crazy because they ended up having 2 more after that. So one of 6 kids, a big family. But I think it takes really special people to want to adopt and to want to adopt kids with physical disabilities. And at 18 months old, both of my legs were amputated below the knees. So for me, this is all I've ever known. I don't know anything else. Putting on my legs is just like putting on shoes. You know, I just get a little taller. But I've always been really active. I used to do gymnastics and cartwheels and flips, and I never wanted to be held back because of, you know, not having my legs. And I did gymnastics for about 6 years, and I loved it. But I would do everything on my knees when my legs are off. That's how I get around. So we decided to find another sport that I could do where I didn't have to wear prosthetics and I was still staying active and getting out my energy. And I fell in love with swimming. I joined a swim team when I was 10 years old, and I love the feeling of you know, moving through the water and getting faster and competing against girls with legs. And I thought it was so cool when I could beat these girls with legs. And it's
Pretty awesome.
So it just kind of took off, and once I found out about the Paralympics and found out that there was something for people with physical disabilities, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the idea. And when I was 12 years old, I tried out for the U.S. Paralympic swim team going into Athens, and I was not expected to make the team. I was 12 years old, and it would have been exciting. It was exciting just to go to trials. And I kept telling my parents I was going to make the team, and they were preparing me to make the team when I was 16 for Beijing. But as a little 12-year-old, I just kept telling them that I was going to go. And it's crazy. I ended up going and coming home as a 12-year-old with 3 gold medals, which was so exciting. And for me, thank you. For me, Paralympics has taught me so much. You know, I'm not disabled. You know, I'm not helpless. There are so many things that I can do, and I happen to be just missing my legs. You know, it's something out of my control, but I can make the best of it. And I am going into my 4th Paralympics with Rio right around the corner, and I have a total, it's really exciting, I've worked really hard for this, but I have a total of 17 Paralympic medals, and 12 of them are gold.
That's crazy. She's a real inspiration tonight.
Absolutely.
So I'm really looking forward to Rio and competing for Team USA and being here tonight. So thank you for having me.
You won 5 gold medals in London.
Yes.
So what's a successful Rio?
You know, it's gone up every time. So I hope the pattern kind of stays for Rio. So we'll see. It's going to be tough.
What's your favorite stroke?
My favorite stroke is butterfly.
Nice.
It's tough. It's fun.
It's important for you to be involved with an event like the ANA Inspiration. I know you've not really been involved with golf at all.
No,
We're gonna get you into playing golf.
No, I mean, if you guys want to teach me some stuff and then I'll teach you some swimming, this can work out really
This
well.
looks like a
but-
good,
You're so gonna kick my ass.
But yeah, no, I'm really honored to be here tonight, and especially in a couple weeks being back.
Nice.
On a bigger scale, and all of you can chime in on this, how important is it to have an event where you inspire young women? Because, I mean, I know it's tough for you to think about this, but you are great role models for young girls all over the world.
Are you talking to her?
She's
All
21 down
for
there.
it. All for it. How important is that? Do you ever think about it? Go ahead.
You're the youngest. We're gonna start with you.
Yeah, definitely. It's really important. Like growing up as a young kid, like obviously we look up, we watch the Golf Channel, we watch the LPGA, and we watch all the girls out there, and that's what we want to do. And yeah, we look to, I would look up to them and see like, I want that life, I want to be like that. So I feel like it's.
Do you
really
remember
important.
watching her in '09 when she won? Or Cristie?
No, not like the particular. But I feel like in general, for me, because it was like literally only 2 years ago when I wasn't a professional and I was an amateur looking outside the ropes and into, the field. Yeah, it's really fun.
Go for it. We'll go down the line.
What was the question?
Inspiration.
Athletes, role models. So yeah, for me, growing up as a bilateral amputee and wanting to be involved with sports, I needed a role model. I needed someone to look up to. And for me, that person was Jeandra, who's another Paralympic swimmer. And, I think all of us, growing up as, little girls, we fall in love with the sport first. And then we find someone who we want to be like. And that for me was Jeandra. But I hope, all of us being role models. And we kind of take on that role, with what we do. And it's all really exciting.
I think it's important to give back. Having role models, and especially in golf, is how I got my start in the game. My family didn't grow up with very much money or means at all, and through the first tee program actually in Miami is how I got my start. So having role models and having Cristie Kerr, who was a tour player at the time, and other tour players come and do clinics and get inspired by that is really how I got my start in the game. So I think it's incredibly important.
Agree with all three of them. First tee in the LPGA girls golf is kind of how I got my start. And, my dad and two older brothers played, and I just fell in love with it right away. And now, my inspiration is Julie Easter, seeing her win as many times as she had, being in the Hall of Fame, and being 54 years old and raising 2 kids out on tour, now being married and possibly starting a family in a couple of years. It's pretty incredible to see that it is possible to have a family and play golf at the same time, and still inspire young girls. It's pretty.
Well, dinner is being served. You have to get on a plane, which is a big tease because you're not going to be able to eat. But if media folks want to do one-on-one interviews with any of the players, feel free. Thanks very much for being here. I think it's going to be a fabulous A&A Inspiration. It's going to be the best week that we've had in the desert. I'm looking forward to it. I want to thank everybody from A&A, from AMG. Wish you all the best for this year. And what is it, 3 weeks?
3 weeks. Yeah.
3 weeks. We'll start.
I have to go practice.
Thanks so much. Enjoy dinner.
Thank you.